He is working as the Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Telecommunications, Ramdao Adik Institute of Technology. He is currently pursuing his PhD at IIT Bombay. He is an experienced assistant professor with a demonstrated history of working in the education management industry. He is skilled in MATLAB, Python, Microsoft Excel, C++, embedded systems, and analog circuit design. He is a strong education professional with an MTech degree focused in electrical, electronics, and communications engineering from VJTI Institute. I welcome Pramod sir on behalf of PB Polytechnic and invite him to conduct the session.
Hi. So just two things to add from the large introduction which was given. I'm no more working in electronics. My whole focus is on speech processing and AI and using speech processing for developing different things. Even my MTech, my PhD, all have been on speech processing for developing hearing aids and all. Okay. So with that context, let's start what we are doing. I'm supposed to talk on two things. One, research ethics and paper writing. I'm going to change the pace a little bit. My more focus is going to be on paper writing and less on ethics, because ethics is something which we commonly very much understand. And I would just take you through the common terms. Some may be new to you, some may be not. Okay, so if there are something which are very trivial, you can maybe probably know, or maybe you can explain to me better, I would be happy to. Okay, so a long list, okay, of what ethics are. Okay, there's a huge list. Some of them we encounter very easily. Okay, some of them are very rare, and some we are very rare to have it. Okay, so as we go along the list, I will let you know which are very common, and some of them we do very easily, and we never know that that was a problem of ethics. Okay, so if you go through the list, first is honesty. We are supposed to be honest, and we are supposed to give out the total information about our data. Okay, so let's say I'm publishing a paper, and I'm writing about my data. Where do I get the data? How do I process the data and all those things, okay? And I'm supposed to give the entire data. The whole idea of having an honesty is somebody who is reading my paper, he's supposed to recreate the entire paper as it is just by reading, okay? And I'll tell you, most IITians also do not put the entire data. It's a fact, okay? Even I'm one of the IITians, I never put the entire data, okay? Two reasons. One, I do not want anybody to recreate my research until I'm done. As simple as that. If I'm a PhD student, okay, let's say I'm working on a problem, it's a common requirement these days. Should not be, but common requirement that I'm supposed to paper X number of papers I have to come out with. Okay, so if I put my entire data and okay, this is the problem I'm working out with, this is my limitation, this is all those things. If I put entire thing, first problem with honesty. Reviewer, he reads your lines, okay, this is the limitation. If these are the limitation, reviewer, as a reviewer, I may ask, if these are limitation, let me just show you that you are supposed to do this experiment and show me. Paper got rejected. Okay, that's first problem. Let's say paper is accepted and you have put the entire information. Then somebody is reading your paper. By the time you got busy, somebody else reads your entire paper, gets a new idea which is written in your future scope. We are supposed to do that. Okay, and now he publishes the paper. Your research is shunted. Okay, so these are the problems with honesty. So what honesty means is a thin line. You're supposed to give the entire information, but wherever you're hiding an information, you're not supposed to put any filling blanks. Okay. Like for example, I'm from speech processing and I do a lot of those works. So there's one common process called as zero frequency filters. Okay, it has come out from a very well-known researcher in my field at least. He's like 35 years old, okay, researcher, okay, age, different matter. Now after that, when he came out with this paper, he has missed out a very key part, that there is a filter and there's a processing which has to be applied 3 times. Okay, it's basically iterative process. Must be his main idea, he must be doing some other work and all those things. But when we tried to compare, we got the code, we got everything from the paper, we could not get the results. When we sent him a request that this is how we are getting it, he simply shunted us, saying that this is how it's supposed to be. And luckily, one of my supervisor currently, he was one of his reviewer, and when he asked the same question, he wrote in the paper, in the new paper that he came up with, that this has to be repeated 3 times. And one which I was struggling for 2 years, I got my paper also published. So this is the problem with the honesty. A live example, okay, let's 2-3 years back. Okay, so when you put the data, he deliberately, I don't want to say anything, but he deliberately removed the information stating that this filter has to be applied 3 times. Whatever the process is, but as a reader of the paper or as a reviewer, I may not get the idea why to do it 3 times. When he actually explained it 3 times, that becomes the honesty. But obviously, I won't blame him for not putting the idea, because if he had done that, I would have published my paper much before him. Okay? That's one of the problems. If you go to the next one, objectivity, this most of us already have. So one of the objectivity, okay, let's quote it, okay, I should get my PhD, I should get my MTech, or I should get my BTech these days also. Okay? These are common requirements. Okay? Moving beyond that, okay, an objective should be, first, it should be long term. Okay? Having an objective which is short term, getting my degree, makes sense. But have a longer objective. You may or may not achieve it, but at least have an objective, because that helps you to do 2 things. First, it sets the ground for your research. Like for example, if I cannot write my objective in more than 3 or 4 points, okay, that is not really an research which I supposed to do. Okay, because what will happen is, okay, you will come out with a paper, you'll come out with many research documents, this, that, and all. What you cannot come out with is a long-term career on that research. Okay, I've done this. Okay, if you have seen my research, probably some of you will search me later. Okay, see my initial research when I started my research, 2012. I had done some paper, done some work. Okay, that research is totally shunted. I had no idea how to do it. Moment I joined BJTI, IIT, all these institutes, and there was somebody who was guiding me about these objectives. That time I got real objective, what to do and when to do. Okay, many things happens. Okay, like for example, one of the objective of papers which I have been reviewing is doing this early Alzheimer's detection. You may have seen some papers. Okay, now the problem with this objective is Alzheimer detection, very good problem. Okay, whether you do it by speech, whether you do it by EEG, and many other things. Early detection is something which is a false promise you are giving. I've done this, many papers which I review, I clearly write them when they put it on title. I don't want to reject their paper, but I really want to convey to the message that you are not doing early Alzheimer detection. Early Alzheimer means whenever Alzheimer starts, at least in early, like MCI stage or before it actually onsets, are you detecting something? No. In the end, just to fulfill the objective, what they will do is they will show the entire data set and everything and classification very beautifully. Towards the end, this could be used for early detection. That's how they fulfill the objective. Is this the right way of doing it? Not really. Okay, so this creates a problem with honesty also and objectivity also. Clear? Now, if I go to integrity, I think this most of us have. Okay, whenever we are writing something, we are very objective. Okay, this is what I want to do, and now we are very much careful about if I am doing a particular research, if I am getting a particular value, I do write that. Problems becomes when figures do not work out. I'll come to that at this different problem. Let's say I am getting a problem and I'm trying to solve it. I get 80% accuracy, and somebody in my research or in my literature gets a 97% accuracy. A lot of people think, okay, this is not a good research. Okay, one problem which I have been telling, and even the supervisors have been telling me, is we are supposed to surpass somebody. Why? Is it even required? Not required. Research is not about surpassing people. Research is all about how do you find new ways of doing the same thing again. Probably somebody finds it better. I'll give you a straight example. I've been doing many of the works. One of the objective for me is doing things better, okay, and faster. So I've developed CNNs for different works. I have had people in my literature who has got 97, 99% accuracy, and I was able to publish a paper which has only 86%. Because I set the objective of my paper as how do I do the same recognition on a smaller device, okay, low memory, okay, or low resource devices. That's it. Now somebody who really wants to do it on low resource devices, ESP and NET and all those things, which have very low memory, they will use my research. They will not go for an research which is using a large CNN, like transfer learning and all those things. Okay. Another point on the same thing is, whenever this comes, there is a problem. One of the problem is, if I tell my students, this is the problem you have to do. First thing, any common person, even I have done that. Okay, when I was supposed to talk on this, first thing I did is went to ChatGPT, tell me about research ethics. Okay, what is my idea of research? Is it even same? Okay, am I missing something? It's a common idea. Second thing is go and search for the code if it is a project. Okay, the common platform for code is Kaggle. Okay, so if I'm doing something, I will go on Kaggle and search for the code. Fine, no problem. Okay, get a starter code and then you start working on it. But problem is if you take the same code and try to publish the paper. I've seen people doing it. I've seen students sending the same code and it becomes very objective and very embarrassing in some places when I open a code on my phone and it is the same code which they are showing in the presentation. Okay, so no problem. Okay, it's not a problem of integrity that you're taking somebody's code. Starter codes, everybody takes. I have done that. Okay, many times I do still now also. But you are supposed to change the code. You're supposed to at least change the idea that they are producing and you are producing. Okay, if you're taking their own idea, you're not supposed to use it for any kind of publication, any kind of research for that matter. If you go to the next one is carefulness. This I think most of us have. Okay, whenever we are writing, putting a diagram, putting a paper or table or any of these things, even if I'm putting a characteristic of my data set, I am very careful. Okay, if some value, okay, please again ignore few sentences if you don't like. Okay, if you do not like a particular characteristic, I will not put in the paper. Okay, it's not the problem of carefulness, that's a problem of integrity and again honesty. Okay, so like for example, let's say again Alzheimer's disease, a lot of people have these data sets. Now if I take a particular data set and if I talk about a data set which has subjects like 60 subjects and 65 subjects which are very common these days. Now I know that a common question from a reviewer is why are you using a small data set? Is it even generalized? So what I will do, I will just ignore that part. I will not put how many subjects I have. I've seen papers. I've seen my students doing it, sending the same paper to me. But the problem is, I sometimes ignore it. Because if you are giving some other information, like how many features you're extracting and all that, this may be a rhetorical question to ask how many subjects you have. But if you're not giving that information, and if you're not giving this information also, then you're trying to hide your truth. Okay? So you're being too careful on putting something which is not even required. Okay? And somebody will find out. An experienced researcher and experienced person in the same field already knows those data sets, already knows those truth. Okay, it's the only matter of time. If he has time, he will find out your truth. Otherwise, he will just ask so many questions. Many of you may have realized when you put a paper and you sometimes don't get any review. You just say, okay, it's a good paper. Okay, and it doesn't get any citations. The reason being, the reviewer has already understood that this paper has no value. It's okay, let it go. And sometimes you get so many questions, you think that paper has a lot of problems. Not really. People sometimes find it so interesting that they want to ask so many questions. Okay? So don't count the number of reviews that you get, number of questions that you get on your reviews. Okay? Count how many of these questions are technical, how many are following. If somebody really writes, okay, this research has technical flaws, okay, then you are supposed to worry about it. Otherwise, don't worry about how many reviewers you have, how many questions you get. Okay, as long as you're careful about putting right ideas, don't worry about all these things. Okay, if you move forward, the list goes longer. Okay, some of these are again trivial. Respect for IP, okay, respect for IP, plagiarism, confidentiality, and so many others. So whenever you are putting somebody's idea, you're supposed to cite it, referencing. Okay, if you take somebody's figure, I have seen people, experienced researchers, take a figure which is very good. I accept some people draw figures like anything you can't even imagine. Okay, you take the figure, put in your research, no problem. Okay, you cite it. Okay, again no problem. This is what we think, right? It's wrong. Okay, just citing an image, okay, does not make it right. You are not supposed to copy anybody's artwork. You're copying somebody's work, okay, in a text, mind you, no problem. Okay, you're supposed to quote it. Okay, you are supposed to rewrite it and you are supposed to cite a person. Rewriting a text is same as redrawing a figure. Understand this part. Just taking a figure and citing, okay, I have taken this figure from a particular research does not mean anything to you. Okay, it is still a plagiarism. It is still a problem with the IP. I have seen people where they are attacked based on this. Okay, from an IIT, I will not tell which IIT, you find out, but there is an IIT which was attacked 4 years back based on this. okay, not for paper, but they copied some code, and that code was being used as a part of a project. Okay. Very famous IIT, and they was thrashed. The entire project had to be taken down, entire thing was to be rewritten again, and then it has to be put. Still, it is an IIT, so it was very careful. Okay, only a part. Think about how many codes, how many lines, how many figures you are using. Okay. When I didn't know all these things, earlier research, I've done this. Okay. I accept. I have my papers, early papers, 2012, 13, where I have taken figure from somebody. I think, okay, I'm redrawing it, I'm changing the color, what is the problem? Okay, I'm citing their paper. It's not the right way. Artwork cannot be copied. Artwork has to be redrawn. Even if you redraw, it has to be cited again. Okay, and redrawn means if somebody is doing a Venn diagram, you cannot give you the Venn diagram. That's basically your copying. Redrawing is just for your own enthusiasm. That's it. Okay, so you're supposed to redraw in a way that does not match the original content, but again you have to cite the original content. That's the main idea. Okay, following this, confidentiality. This is up to you. If you're part of a particular project, if you're part of a particular grant and so on and so forth, okay, you can make a confidentiality contract. But even if you do that, many of you who are sending the papers to journals, you would realize that most of the journals these days are having a one separate section. Okay, for security, data sharing, then for confidentiality. If you say, I cannot share my data, it's not easily available, it's not available from other link, okay, then they will ask you, how are you doing research? तुमको खुद को ही नहीं मिल रहा है, तुम भेज नहीं सकते, तुम कहीं शेयर नहीं कर सकते. How the hell you got the data? Okay, that's the primary question now. Okay, so you're supposed to always put a line stating that this is a data. Okay, mind you, those who are reading the research, they will know. A line is very common. Okay, a data will be shared on demand, and when somebody demands, nobody shares. Is it common? Those who wanted some kind of data, you send mails and mails and mails to authors, and it just goes blank. They don't even have a courtesy to reply. I've done this. Okay, for 2 years I was searching for some kind of data, and I was trying to send emails from my IIT email. Forget about my personal email. From my IIT email, I was sending emails to people, authors. He sends, he has right, usko bolta hai, iske paas right hai, iske paas right, and nobody has rights. Basically, nobody has the data. Okay, that's the problem with data. How do you get yourself out of this is, do not read papers, do not refer papers from non-peer reviewed journals. I'll come to that in a minute. Okay, and sometimes when you are getting data from a very reputed source, please understand every research has community. Like for example, the research which I am doing on hearing aid, I know community. I know this author belongs to which group, this author belongs to which group. So at least follow a group. Okay, if that particular author, a set of authors coming from a group are well known, they will share the data. Okay, if they are not under particular contract. Sometimes people are under particular contract, the grant is not over and so many other things, but at least these people will respond to you. Momentarily not, maybe in 1 month, maybe in 2 months, depending on how much their time have, they will always respond to you. Okay, otherwise you will never do that. Okay, let's say, I don't know how many of you know this, but there's a conference called ICASP, okay, International Conference on Speech. It's extremely famous. Okay, this is probably the 58th year. Okay, so imagine how old it is. In that, there was one paper on, they were doing this heart disease detection using speech. Okay, arrhythmia detection basically. Got very interested, speech. Okay, send them mails and mails for last, this may be the 4th month I am sending them mail. Nobody has replied yet. Now I am doubting what? The data set not even there. Okay, they are just putting some numbers, or the data set itself is flawed. Okay, one of these reasons, otherwise what is the problem? Maybe they will say that I don't have the rights, we don't have the time, something or the other they would reply, right? That's the problem. And imagine if this is happening in conferences which are like 58th year, okay, it will be very common in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th conference. That's why majority of your supervisors, they would tell you that do not refer to papers which are coming from conferences. That's the primary problem. You may get stuck. They have this vision. Okay, why not use this paper? Because conference papers, they come up with some or the other idea, and it may or may not be able to validate the idea. That's the primary problem. Okay. Now, going forward, responsible publication and responsible mentoring. Okay, not so qualified yet to talk about responsible mentoring. Okay, but responsible publication, yes. Okay, so if you are looking at responsible publication, okay, I'll tell you one common incident. Okay, let's say I write a research paper, I find it good, my supervisor finds it good. Okay, now it is ready for publication. Okay, I put it on some journal website. Okay, first try for me is going to be Q1 journal. Okay, if you do not know Q1, wait for some time. Okay, first try is Q1 journal. I send the paper, done, fine. Okay, 2 months, 3 months, go down the review, and sometimes I get rejected. Fine. Next option is Q2. Fine, I'll wait again for 2 months. Now there's a deadline. Now I will start searching in reverse order in Scopus. What is the lowest journal which will accept my research? Okay. Do you think that is the right way of doing it? Not really. Okay. There has been many talks on AICTE putting out a list. Okay. And there have been papers in that list which are non-peer reviewed or paid journal, that's what we call it as. Okay. Now these papers, who are publishing in these papers? Okay. Those who are not good researchers? Not really. Those who are basically, they are like between these two things. One, I to get my PhD, time is over. Second, mentor or your supervisor always telling you need one paper to get this, you need one paper to get this, you need one paper to get this. Now your mind doesn't work. Okay, it's a common thing. I will put paper in some or the other journal where I will get the response faster. Okay, and mind you, it doesn't work. Okay, let's say I have seen my colleague getting a response. It's a true story. My colleague got a response from a journal, SIVP, who's sitting at the back. Okay, he got a response in 2 or 3 months. Okay, SIVP, extremely good journal, Q1 journal. I did the same thing. In 2 months later, I started to send my paper. Till today, it is not done. This has been now 13th or 14th month. I'm still patiently waiting on response. And every time I send the journal, where is my paper status? It is being reviewed. That's it. I don't know in that 12 pages or 13 pages, what is it that they are reviewing? Even I didn't think of that much is there to review. I didn't write that much. What are you reviewing? It is 13 months. If you read only 1 page, 1 month, till now, a review should have been done. Okay, that's the problem of responsible publication. Okay, sometimes it's just the time, sometimes it is really a pressure. Okay, so anyway, the main idea for this is do not go for all these journals. Okay, find out your right journal. Okay, and I've seen papers where the journal says International Journal of some Mechanical Engineering. Under that, there's a paper on VLSI, CMOS, and all these things. Why? Do you think your research or your paper anybody would refer? If I'm from the same field, I'm trying to search a paper which is related to my field or maybe my work. You may be working in the same field, but I would never think that I will have a paper in International Journal of Mechanical Engineering. Why would I have that? So your paper is not getting cited, and you don't really become like you have done a great work. Okay, sometimes you just put it because of pressure, you put it in some journals, and your research is wasted. Okay. So think about all these things. Time is not a problem. Okay, I agree. Okay, it is easy for me to stand here and say time is not a problem. But think about this, I have already gone through this. I've had many of my papers going over a review for more than 1 year. Okay, don't worry. Think as if, once you send a paper, think as if it is published. Okay, maximum kya hoga? Reject hoke aayega na? You will review it, correct it, send it again. It will be published. If your idea is good, if you have done first 3 things, honesty and objectivity, great, nobody can stop your research. Okay, don't worry about those things. It will just a matter of time. Okay, and it will be done. Okay, so don't send your papers to all these predatory journals. Okay, never do that. Okay, it's a crime against you, crime against those who are doing the research, basically. Okay, if I move forward, okay, non-discrimination and social responsibility. A lot of journals are taking care of this. This is more or less like review problem. Okay, sometimes you may feel that my paper is not getting accepted, this, that, and all. Okay, we as commoners, we do not understand or have these problems, but IITians do have it. Okay, especially IIT professors. Okay, when they send a paper, they think that we have written great paper. Most of them, yes, they do write a good paper. They have that knack how to write and how to do research. When they send a paper, they think my research has to be accepted. It does get accepted. But if it is, wait time is too long, what is the common problem? They think somebody is using my research. Okay, it is also a common problem. A lot of time, 2 years back, IIT Bombay had a huge case that there was a professor in a department and he had sent a paper, and that paper was given to a particular journal, and the editors, students were working in the same area. This group has come up with a very great idea, okay, and now their paper was halted. Okay. Right now, the paper is halted with the editor, not even the reviewer. Reviewer have done their work. It is with the editor for 2 to 3 months. They are not sending the decision. Now what is happening is, the student or editor students are actually working on that problem. And now when they are working, they're done with a particular concept, they send the paper, their paper is published, and now decision comes to him. So he, being an active researcher, he finds out all these things, and they put a huge case on them. Luckily this time IIT Bombay wins. Every time they fail, this time IIT Bombay wins the case. And their entire paper goes down, journal goes down, and so many other things have happened. Okay. Recently, last year, okay, there was same journal had the same issue. Journal, at least I can tell you, okay, multimedia signal processing, okay, MTAP is a journal, okay. 2023-2024, journal was Q1, and now this time journal is Q3, and still under review, okay. So when it falls down 2 quarters, imagine what has happened inside the journal, okay. Lot of people had sent money and all the other kind of things, okay, all. Basically, I can't even tell you all the things, I don't even know. Okay, but basically the researchers, the papers have been published without a good review. And the entire journal was brought down. Okay, so this is one of the problem with ethics. When you don't follow it, okay, it will happen. And someday or the other, it will catch up to you. Okay, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, but it will catch up to you. Okay, so don't do all these things. Lastly, something which most of us don't know, it has to be done. Okay. Animal and human subjects. Okay, I don't know how many of us are doing with animal subjects, but human subjects we all do. Okay, let's say I'm from speech processing, so I do all this listening test. Okay, so with somebody I'm asking X person to listen to my speech examples, and is this noise removal, is this better, all those things. We do this, right? Okay, now this has to be a documented process. I'll show you the committees which are to be conducted, and most of us in colleges, even I'm coming from RIT, we don't have it. Okay, but chalta hai. Okay, that's the problem. Most of us don't even know that this has to be an ethics problem. Okay, if I ask somebody their opinion, okay, that person's credential, okay, you can't send his name and his email address and everything. Okay, of course, but you have to have a proper credential form taking his consent that he or she is okay to take part in this test, and then they are okay to give the data. Okay, whether it is a recording of some kind, whether it is an Alzheimer's patient's recording, or whether it is a speech testing where somebody or participates in a test, or whether it is just a person whose photo is being put. Okay, you may have seen some papers, right, where some EEG or some face recognition thing is there, and they put a photo. Have you ever seen a line stating that this person's consent has been taken? No. People don't know this is a problem. This is a problem. This is one of the biggest ethic problem which people don't know. Okay, luckily, okay, I know this now, but if you asked me 3 years back, I didn't know. Okay, when I started doing all those testings and all, my supervisor asked me, where are the consent letters? I said, what about consent letters? I didn't know. Then he explained me there is a huge consent letter and all these things which are supposed to be done. Okay, for 3 years back, even I didn't know. That's a common problem. Okay, we are not aware because somebody has not told us. So I'm just making a point here that I'm trying to tell you that wherever you ask somebody's opinion, even opinion, you're supposed to have a consent. May or may not be asked. Some journals do not ask, some journals ask trust-based. Mostly the European journals, okay, or the whole European system is trust-based. They will ask you whether the consent was taken, yes or no. You have to just say yes, and then it goes forward. Okay, sometimes they do ask, okay, and then you are stuck. Okay, I'll give you an example of journals who ask. Okay, MDPI journals, Q1 journal, mathematics, they do ask. Okay, MDPI sensor journal, they do ask. IEEE TASM journal, they do ask. IEEE transactions, they do ask. Okay, so most of the journals who have been in research and they have been doing this for a long time, some kind of animal or human subject-based research, they know that this is one of the problem, and they do ask for these consent forms. They may not do it anything, they may not publish it. It's up to you whether you want to publish them or not, okay, but they do ask for these consents. And that time, if you say, I do not have it, okay, then it becomes a problem, okay. Even if your paper is almost getting published, they will just retract the paper. Okay, and I'll come to that, but in retraction, India is at second, okay, ranking 2. Okay, so we are close. Okay, so we'll get there first also in soon if we continue doing this. Okay, okay, so common ethics problems. Okay, now coming back to plagiarism. Okay, I've already told about what plagiarism is. Most of you know. Okay, most of you know if I want to write a particular paragraph, okay, I will just think about it, put it in ChatGPT. Okay, write for a research paper, and ChatGPT will write a nice paragraph for us. Take this para, put it in paper, and nobody ever finds out. Okay, is this the right research? Not really. Okay, but I'll tell you what happens. Okay, do this for, okay, very specific. Okay, do this for results and discussion section. Okay, specifically, okay, results and discussion section, and you will have a plagiarism. The problem with the ChatGPT is, as we all know, ChatGPT is an LLM. Turns out that it writes a sentence based on a particular person's writings. Somebody has done it. When you say that, okay, write it for a research paper, it has that context of research papers. Fine. Every other researcher writes the description of their tables in the same form. Okay. Proposed algorithm has outperform the others with this accuracy. Now what your ChatGPT will do? Write the same thing, and now it's a plagiarism. Okay. It was not the ChatGPT's problem, it is the section problem. Do the same thing for literature, do the same thing for proposed method, you will not have it. Okay. Grammarly, Turnitin, they have this section, AI-based plagiarism. Nobody detects it. Okay, we are smart enough. Okay. Avoid plagiarism, we will add the keyword, and it does avoid. Okay. I can't stop you from doing these things, but I'm just warning you, sometimes some sections will have this. Okay, I was talking to sir and others during lunch. So one of the common things when, as a reviewer, when I read somebody's paper, how do I find out, okay, without even asking for this plagiarism report is, somebody does a research, okay, and they are doing some kind of detection, so using wavelets. That's a common statement, right? I would write, okay, I'm doing some kind of, let's say, face recognition using wavelet packet transform. Fine. ChatGPT is, okay, leveraging wavelet packets for face recognition. Which one sounds better? Second one? That's a plagiarism. And an experienced researcher will always find out. Leveraging is not the common term any person will use. Have you ever found out? Okay, look at the research, look at the genealogy on Google if you have seen this. I've done this for a hobby of it. But leveraging, the word leveraging, okay, is a so common word given by ChatGPT that over last 2 years, it has become in one of the top 500 used words. And before that, nobody even knew. There's a word called leveraging. Okay, only those who are English majors or very proficient in English, they would use the word leveraging. Okay, otherwise nobody uses it. That's one of the pitfalls of using this. So plagiarism is not only what these softwares detect, it is also basically what others and as a reviewer detect. Okay. Most of the journals, they do not regularly check their plagiarism, okay, unless the editor finds something objective. Okay, they do not check, it's trust-based. And reviewers, when it goes, they know what to check, what not to check. Okay. So plagiarism is very important. This is text one. Image one, I've already told you, you cannot copy somebody's image. Okay. You cannot copy somebody's tables. Okay. And it is not a problem that you cannot copy the table. I'll tell you the problem. Okay. Let's say I'm writing one paper and the paper has a table which says first year, then data set, then accuracy, sensitivity, and so on and so forth. It's a common table people make for literature review. Again, not to be made. Okay. The moment you make a table for a literature review, you are not a good researcher. Okay. Means you don't know what to write for a particular paper, so you are making a table and leaving it to the reviewer कि तुमको जो समझने का समझ लो इसमें से. मैंने टेबल बना लिया, मेरा काम हो गया. Okay, 10 पेपर थे, मैंने 10 का 10 टेबल बना लिया. If you want more, I will put more. I have no problem. But this is not the research. Okay, coming back to why table not. So now you made a table. Okay, somebody else in some far different field makes a similar table. What is the common thing they will make? Year, then study, Then accuracy, sensitivity. You are doing a research on face recognition, that person is doing on noise reduction. How are you even related? But plagiarism is there. Okay, that is the problem of tables. Okay, you do not want to do that. Okay, and unnecessarily you will end up doing this. Okay, सॉफ्टवेयर में जाके चेक करो, ये कैचिंग वर्ड है, इसको चेंज करो, टेबल को कॉलम को चेंज करो, इसको उधर उसको उधर. Okay, and this is when you realize, sometimes you see your paper and it is published, and now you realize, why would I put my year, accuracy, sensitivity, then reference, and then my remaining things? Makes no sense, but you did at that time for avoiding the plagiarism. Okay, I'll show you the papers also. If you search, they are easily available. Okay, papers where they do this column business to avoid the plagiarism, and later on they themselves regret, okay, this is not making sense. I had a beautiful idea and it is all gone just because I wanted to do this. Now coming back to next one, fabrication. Okay, again another pitfall, mostly for Indians and Chinese. Okay, from experience. Okay.
Lot many methods and procedures are also there. So we are comparing it very well within that tabular format information, and we will just justify that our work is very good in comparison with whatever we have literature survey taken from that. So it is better method, what I am feeling.
Probably. If you don't mind, I'll give you an example. Okay, let's say that I am doing, since I am from speech, I can give you only those examples. Okay, so let's say you're doing pitch recognition, finding out how the frequency of glottis is. Okay, there are different ways. Some do it by autocorrelation, some do it by frequency domain, some do it by wavelet, some do it by many other things. Okay, I can put it in a table and write in one column what is the method they are using. And if certainly I am trying to improve something from frequency domain, it becomes helpful. But what I can do better? I can write in text that all the pitch recognition method, okay, are grouped in 5 categories. Category 1 has this, category 1, 2 has this. I am working in category 3, now go on explaining only category 3, because you are always working in only one category. Okay, let's say I am doing research on wavelet based research. Why would I need to compare something who is not even using wavelets? Okay, if you see those tables, they have wavelet based research and they have non-wavelet based research also. Okay, as a reviewer, I wouldn't ask you, तुमने wavelet किया है तो तुमने बिना wavelet वाले को क्यों नहीं compare किया? क्यों करूँ मैं? I am doing on wavelets. I will compare with people who are doing wavelet based works. Okay, that's the problem. If I am writing a table, I lose a track. I lose a track of what is my focus. My focus is improving this wavelet, let's say, okay, or improving a particular autocorrelation based method. Then I will do that only. Okay, it is a good idea that you write in category and show the reviewer that although I am working in wavelet, I have the idea that there are other fields also, but I am just not working in those. That's how you write in a particular research, that this research has many, many subgroups. And I'll tell you a simple idea. When you do this, okay, we always write, okay, these are subgroups or these are grouped as. Why don't we write these are classified as? Classified means there has to be a logic. Subgroup means it is my group. You do what you want. As simple as that. I can make group as I want. Okay, मेरे को pink, yellow अलग group बनाना है, बनाने दो, कोई problem नहीं है. Okay, but grouping does not need you to explain things. Grouping needs only one common trait out of this that you can easily make. Okay, when you do the research, you yourself has found out, okay, how do I know that this paper is related to me? There's a common trait. That's the common trait that you are supposed to write as a groupism. Okay, once you do that, okay, your entire literature review is lined up. Okay, nobody needs to know in tabular form how well you make the data. Okay, I'm not against the tables. Okay, I have done the tables when reviewer has asked. Okay, I have seen my students doing it. I have seen many researchers doing it. Fine. Okay, but I am telling you, it's a better idea to write in literature review. Okay, in writing, you can always tell the people that this is what I am interested in. Okay, now since we are on the topic, okay, I'll just tell you one more thing. In literature, what do we think? Okay, that this researcher has done this idea, okay, and he has got 97%, 96%, 86%, and I'm getting 97%. As a reviewer, I'm not even interested. I am not interested whether you have got 97%, 99%, whether you're surpassing the others. What am I interested in is what is their method, how is your method improving theirs? That is the part we forget. We will end up writing such and such researcher has done this topic using wavelets, and they have got this. Using wavelets for what? How they have used wavelets? Nobody knows. Okay, that's the problem, and that's the problem a new researcher has. As a new researcher, if I want to enter a particular field, what would I do? I will start reading a paper, and I will start reading literature. And now the problem starts is, reading a line, I do not know whether this paper is useful to me, because it says, I have used wavelets, I have used ANN, I have used Fourier, that's it. Doesn't give me any other information. So I have to actually go to the paper, read the abstract, read the conclusion, read the propose, and then after 1 week of study, I realize that paper is not even useful to me. Do you think you want to do this kind of research? Not really. You want to do a kind of research where one line tells somebody else that, okay, this is the paper that is going to be useful for me. And mind you, these are the papers who get maximum citations. That's it. There are other ways. I'll come to that during discussion and paper writing, but right now these are the papers who are more interested in. Okay, so coming back to ethics part, okay, so fabrication, I was talking about fabrication. So what do people do is, let's say I'm doing some kind of accuracy analysis and comparing two things, okay. Somebody has in literature 97.96. I get 97.82. Just थोड़ा सा उसको 9 बना देगा. किसको पता चलता है? Who is going to check? Nobody is going to check. Okay, that's a fabrication. Okay, this becomes a long-term problem because sometimes that 9, instead of being after decimal, somebody does before decimal also. Okay, just to get surpass. Okay, as I said, pressures. Okay, PhD लेना है और degree खत्म करना है, or somebody says I want to do research. Even faculties, those who are here, they know that we are under pressure to publish papers every 6 months, every 1 year. Okay, and this is what sometimes people do. I'm not saying anybody here has done this, okay, but people do, and it becomes problem for somebody who is doing actual research like us. Okay, I'm looking at the data, I'm breaking my head on it for last 1 year, I'm not going above 80, and somebody has already claimed 97. That's the fabrication problem. Okay, so you have to let go of such research. Okay, I'll tell you this best example of a fabrication. Take any research and any paper who has claimed that I have 100% accuracy. Now, how do you beat 100% accuracy? Anybody can tell me. You get 101%, you can't get, right? So that's how a problem is. 100% accuracy means two things. You are using very limited circumstances, you are using very limited data, now you're just trying to prove your point. It's not a good research. Okay, it's not a good ethics also. Okay, now moving forward, so falsification is one and the same thing. Okay, only thing is when you are talking about the research, it's fabrication. When you are talking about a method or a data, okay, or its characteristic, it's falsification. Okay, then authorship disputes. These happen sometimes when you have different authors. Okay, generally student बोलता है कि बस मेरा paper publish हो जाए. Okay, supervisor, co-supervisor, dean, HOD, they have these problems. किसका नाम कहाँ पे आएगा? Okay, as a researcher, I don't care, मेरा नाम आ जाए बस हो गया भाई. Okay, paper publish हो जाए, मैं आगे चला जाऊँ. Okay, but this is a problem. And okay, the pitfall for this is, lot of people think that first reviewer is the only reviewer who has done maximum work. Not really. Who says? First reviewer could be a novice. He is guided by the one who is having the last name. And if you have seen, major trend is somebody who is an extremely good researcher, his name is always at the last. He doesn't care about where his name comes. Okay, मेरा बस ये research है, this is my idea, that's his thought process. Okay, this idea should be given to researchers, that's it. Okay, somebody who is wanting a degree and all makes sense. Okay, first paper होना चाहिए and all those things, but I'm not commenting on that. But authorship sequence is one of the big problems. Okay, should not be, and I'm telling you, if you are writing your paper, don't worry about whether your name is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, as long as your paper is there, you are one of the authors. Okay, also it does not matter whether you are a corresponding author or not. Okay, I would avoid myself to be corresponding authors. पेपर में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हुआ तो सबसे पहला मेल मुझे आएगा. नहीं चाहिए. डेटा सेट चाहिए, इसको मेल करो क्योंकि इसका ईमेल अवेलेबल है ना, करस्पॉन्डिंग ऑथर. नहीं चाहिए. Okay, get myself out of it. Okay, Let me do my research, okay, let somebody else handle those responsibilities. Now, conflict of interest, majorly people ask these days, because that is a problem between a researcher, as I've explained this IIT Bombay case, okay, where somebody was already doing the same research and all. Okay. Sometimes it also happens in the reverse way. Okay. I'm doing a research in an institution, and somebody in my institution itself, he is the editor or a reviewer in the same journal. So that's a conflict of interest. You are supposed to do that. Okay. Lot of us by default say I do not have any conflict of interest to avoid any conflict. That's not a problem. Okay. But please check you really have a conflict of interest or not. Okay. If you take 100 papers from online, download them, 99 of them do not have conflict of interest. Do you really think there are so many people who are not working in the same field? No, not really. Okay. It's a common strategy. Why will I find out? As long as there is no problem, actually this is not a even question. If there is no conflict really, it's not a problem. Sometimes it happens and you end up doing this. And now nobody can help you. Okay. There is really conflict, somebody stops your paper and does many other things, and now nobody can really help you because you said there was no conflict of interest. Sometimes it happens during fundings and all those things. Okay. Your paper is done, now it is time to pay the fees for the journals. Okay. It's not about paid journals, but many journals do ask for fees these days. Okay. Now there's a conflict of interest. That's again a problem. Same problem comes to informed consent. Okay. If you have not given informed consent from a particular user, particular participant and all those, that's again another problem. And last one is data privacy violation. I've already explained this. Okay. I don't want to send the data, I don't have a link, and I even don't reply to emails. That's a data privacy issues. Okay. So ethics committee approval. Okay. So more of this is what I want to convey is, if you are doing some kind of research, okay, and it includes some animals or humans and all those things, we are supposed to have these things. Okay. For last 3 years, even I don't know IIT had it. Okay. When they stopped my paper, then I realized, oh, there is something, ethics committee. Okay. So then I started running behind them. Okay, ye kar lo bhai, ye form de do, wo form de do, and all these things. Okay. Soon and others, okay, most people who are doing their PhD, they will realize that even our colleges, they do need an ethics committee. Lot of us, okay, sometimes it is an informed thing. Like for example, if I am the supervisor, I already know these things and I already have in my mind how these ethics committee work. And they have already asked the students to do it, but I would suggest, I've already done in my institute, it will take longer time, but I would suggest you already have the documentation ready, whether somebody wants it or not. Okay, already have the documentation ready. Somebody wants it, you can easily furnish the document. Okay, otherwise, you will have to create it later, find out those subjects and participants and all those things. Okay, it becomes a problem. Okay, these are the two committees people have. Okay, then IRB and IEC, definitely they are for different purposes. IRB is for finding out whether the paper, journal and all these connections, they are good or not, conflict of interest or not. And second one is basically for the research, where participants are humans, animals and all those things. Okay, lot of time we are not connected to the participants, so we don't think it is required, and sometimes it is not required also. Like for example, I am getting an Alzheimer's data which is published on a particular website. That time I don't need an ethics committee, because I am not accessing a particular participant. I am not accessing a particular subject. Okay, at that time there is no problem of ethics. Okay, so this has to be segregated. Now, moving forward, okay, so ethic publishing, this word COPE, okay, those who are reading papers and publishing papers, they would have realized Springer has this online written for last 3 years. Okay, COPE. Okay, it's basically a standardization. What does this do is, this takes care of plagiarism, authorship details. I mean, once you send a particular manuscript, you can't change the author sequence. You can't add the author. Okay, you have to write many reasons, give proper reasons and all. So COPE handles all those things. Somebody says that data fabrication, data violation, data sharing, all these kinds of things, COPE will take care of all those things. Okay, and once your paper is accepted, you are generally required to sign a particular signatory. Okay, that signatory says that you are transferring the authorship, and which includes the COPE also. Okay. Then these disclosures, they are written most of the journals. Okay, if you are looking at very standard journals, Q1, Q2 journals, okay, they do ask you to write as a separate section, okay, are you sharing the data, do you have a link, do you have a conflict of interest? Even if you don't have, you are supposed to write that there is no conflict of interest. Okay, so that is the mandatory requirement in most of the cases. Okay, now coming back to the second part. Okay, I think we have had half of the session, right? So now coming back to the main important part, which even I would like to talk more about. Okay, so paper writing. Okay, first thing, okay, paper writing, I'm quite new in this, only last 10, 11 years probably. Okay, now if I think that something is right, something is to be doable, okay, does not mean it is the only truth. Okay, many of us sitting here would have more experience than me, and they would have ways around it or better ways even. Okay, it's all the game of experience. I have gained something in 10 years. Many sitting here would have gained in same thing or maybe better than that in less number of years, more number of years. Okay, so all the things after this are subjective. Okay, so this is basically ethics. I am already quoting myself that something coming after this, okay, may or may not be right. Okay, full disclosure basically. Types of papers, okay, simply I'll just go through it. It's a known fact. Okay, empirical papers, experimental studies, okay, review papers, theoretical papers, methodological papers, and case studies. Okay, now a lot of us, okay, I'll tell you focus. Review paper, okay, is one of the focus. Every PhD student wants to write a review paper. Is that okay, right? BTech student, write a review paper. Okay, do you think you're qualified enough to write a review paper? Who writes a review paper is somebody who has worked really hard in that field for a long time, has read many papers, has done many researches. Now he is qualified to write a research paper. Okay, a research paper is not just collection of many things, many papers put together. You put together papers, true, but what these directions are, what is the future, how it's developed, okay, what are the pitfalls, why this particular stream or the thought of thinking, why it was shunted, okay, why it was debated, all these things must be clear from a research paper. Okay, all these review papers, okay, if you read, many of them are just collection. Okay, it's sad but true. It is basically a collection. Now, if I just even do a Google search right away, live also, review paper on Alzheimer's detection. Every 2 years there is a review paper. How much research goes in 2 years that you have to write a new review paper? Not really. But again, problem of all these things. Okay, most of these predatory journals, they do have this. Okay, so when you are reading as a researcher a review paper, or when you are writing, ask yourself, have I spent enough time in this field to write a review paper? I have never written. Okay, it's been 10 years for me in speech working on the same problem, but I still do not find myself qualified enough to write a review paper. I'm still reading my supervisor or somebody else who has spent 20, 30 years, probably seen how the entire field evolved. Otherwise, I do not know how to go forward. Okay, and what happens now, those who are doing the research, BTech, MTech and all, okay, they will start reading research papers and they will think that it is just a collection of papers. Okay, that's not the way it is. Okay, now second major thing in this is empirical papers. Okay, somebody does something, okay, does an experiment and he thinks he is qualified enough to write a research paper. Okay, maybe, may not be. Okay, depends on which experiment you are doing and how you are doing it. Okay, I give you an example of speech processing. I am doing some kind of recognition, speech recognition, and I do a study which adds the noise to the speech and does speech recognition. Okay, who amongst us thinks common logic that if I add more noise, my accuracy will decrease? It's common knowledge. Somebody does research out of this and publishes paper. There's a whole ton of research papers. Isn't it a common logic? If you keep on adding the noise, okay, your accuracy is supposed to decrease. If it goes the other way, that's a research. Adding the noise, your accuracy is not decreasing, okay, or not decreasing at the same rate, not decreasing at a faster rate, or increasing, which is very rare, but that's a research. That is something that people want in empirical research. You may not have the right idea. That is why empirical research. You have done research, you have got the preliminary results, you get the idea. But that's not how a research works. Research does not ask you a question which is a common knowledge. Okay? So do not publish papers just because you want to do it. You want to get into the field. Okay? You get into the field later. Okay? Not a problem. Okay? As late as you get, not at all a problem. Okay? Those who have studied this Fourier, okay, you have studied Fourier, right? Most of us have. Okay? Fourier's papers, when it was published, when he died. He was trying his research to be published, okay, beautiful story, okay. His paper was rejected by 3 people, okay, very well known researchers, because if his paper got published, 3 of these people's ideas will become obsolete. And all the 4 people now we are studying together. Okay. Fourier, Dirichlet, Hanning, and Schrödinger. Heard of all 4 names? Okay. Fourier was the one who was writing the paper. These 3 were who were reviewers. Okay. Schrödinger accepted because he thought it is there. He is just lacking the mathematics. Okay. And now Hanning, okay, and the other one, I forgot the name just now. Okay. Okay, these 2, they rejected the paper, okay, stating that it's not a valid research. Okay. What happened? Nothing happened. Sometimes later, Dirichlet himself, okay, has published some paper, said these are the 3 Dirichlet conditions which establishes the validity of a Fourier transform. Now what do we do? Okay, all those who are studying here, what do we do? Has anybody ever found out before taking a Fourier transform, is it following 3 Dirichlet conditions? No. Signal दिया है, Fourier transform ले लो, आगे चलो. Dirichlet's research is gone. His entire thesis is gone. This is what happens. If you have a really good idea, it will come up. Wait for the time, it will come up. Maybe late, but it will. Okay. So that was one theoretical paper. Okay. How do we write? Okay. So first is we are supposed to have these many sections. Okay. So title, introduction, methodology, result, discussion, conclusion, references. Okay. What I have written on the slide is just an introduction. Okay. I can talk about each one of these fields for a long time. Okay. I'll just give you a few pointers about each one of them. Okay. Now, first thing for any paper, what I would think is the starting point is methodology. Okay. If you are lacking in literature, I won't mind as a reviewer. If you are lacking in research results, okay, I won't mind. I will ask you. Okay. You have calculated the accuracy, get me F1 score, get me sensitivity. I don't mind asking those questions. If your method itself is faulty or not properly explained, nobody is even interested in reading the rest of the paper. Remember these things. Okay. First thing that you should write is methodology, and unfortunately, that is the last thing people write. Okay. First thing people write is literature review. Okay. Everybody thinks, including me for a long time now, okay, that writing a good literature review, writing a good motivation for a particular paper gets my paper accepted. Not really. Okay. I have written literature reviews as short as 2 paragraphs. And the method goes on for 3-4 pages. Accepted. Not a problem. As long as in your literature review you give the basic idea that I am not doing entirely new things. Nobody does entirely new things. Please understand this. Even I have not done entirely new things. I already have some background. This is the background. Based on this, I am doing these things. Explain what I have done major. Done. Your paper is accepted. Okay. Now, once these are done, go to result. Okay. And the most ignored section, discussion. Okay. Common strategy, results and discussion. क्यों? Because we don't know what to write in discussion. अब मैंने टेबल डाल दिया, नीचे बता दिया कि मेरा एक्यूरेसी उससे ज्यादा है, और क्या डिस्कस करूं इसमें मैं? It's not supposed to be like this. What discussion needs, a discussion as a section does not ask you for your accuracy. If you have got a better accuracy, explain why. If you have got less accuracy, explain why. If somebody else is getting better accuracy in the trend, explain why. Nobody is bothered about your numbers in a discussion section. Everybody is interested in what is the concept behind those numbers. So that is why I am telling you, need not pass or surpass anybody. Get 86% when people are 96, not a problem. Write that one discussion section so beautifully that everybody thinks that this is how it should be. Okay. Done. Okay. And you will get your paper. You will get your idea credited. Okay. Don't worry about writing or developing better and better networks. जो आया है उसको explain करना सीखो. Okay. Lot of us think that now, I'll just give an example of machine learning. Okay, so CNN, DNN, everything is there, right? Now, if I want to do a research, first thing I will pick up is RAG, LSTM, by LSTM, because these are hype words. Who says? Till now, if you have seen my research, I have never used even more than CNN. and I have more than 40 papers. Do you think it is possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay. The reason is, write what is important to you. LSTM, BiLSTM, they are developed for what? They are developed for time series. Are we even looking for time series? Not really. Speech recognition problem, speaker recognition problem, Alzheimer detection problem, these are not even time. Okay. There is no temporal concept. Doing LSTM, you get better results because they are large networks. Now you can't stop. Okay. It's like using a supercomputer to solve 2 plus 2 and using your calculator to solve 2 plus. Of course, he will do better. But what are you doing? You're wasting a lot of power there. Okay. That's not the concept. And this is one of the problem. If you see TEDx talks, few years back, the Kaggle CEO, okay, you all know about Kaggle website, right? So Kaggle CEO himself has said that Kaggle is a website or a platform where most of the problem have 96, 97, 99, 100% accuracy. Why are we still working so many inventors? What are we doing? Because they are using a model of 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB. Do you think that model is to be fitted in my phone, fitted in my smartwatch? No. 1 GB का मॉडल मैंने अपने लैपटॉप में भी लोड कर दिया. OS कहाँ पे है मेरे पास? 4 GB का लैपटॉप है, 2 GB का OS, 1 GB का मेरा मॉडल. अब उसका क्या करूँ मैं? That's how problems are not solved. That's how people win competitions, not do research. Okay, so think about what you're doing and then you answer it. Okay, now moving forward, conclusion, most of us know how to write a conclusion. Okay, only thing I will give you a pointer is, when you're writing a conclusion, do not think that you need to recite everything. Somebody who is reading your conclusion has already read your method, has already read your abstract. He knows what you're talking about. So you just say, okay, this is what I've done, this is how I've got better results and so many other things, and just give it, this could be done for something else, like future scope. That's it. Most of this, I've seen that when they're writing conclusion, they're trying to conclude everything again. Okay, I was starting this with problem, this is how I got into problem. Who is asking you? अरे तुम्हारा conclusion आ गया paper तक, अब तुम first problem पे ही कर रहे हो. Nobody is asking you to do this. You're already towards the conclusion. People are well versed. If they reach to reading your conclusion, that means they liked your idea. Okay, they will never reach to that section again. Okay, people read abstract. Okay, as a reviewer, I'm telling you, I will read abstract, I will read method, then I will read conclusion. If I have gone through these sections, that means I liked your idea. There is something in this. Okay, that means you don't need to explain me everything in conclusion. Just give me a brief. What have you got? Final results. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's for people who really want to find out. As a researcher, if I want to find out if this research is useful for me or not, I will read abstract, conclusion, this. Then I will go for method. Okay, this is for reader's perspective, not for a reviewer's perspective, not for your perspective. Understand the section first. Now, I'll go back to the introduction first. Okay, one common mistake. Okay, so-and-so author, okay, has used, okay, this method for a particular purpose. Do you think has used is a correct way of doing it? Has used means it cannot be used now. A proper English way of looking at it. Okay. Now other way is, okay, he has been using. Another problem is, he has proposed. Whether he has proposed, it is already done. He has reported, he has not proposed. He has proposed becomes when you are writing summary for somebody else's paper. Okay, that's not what you're doing. Okay, I've seen paper, when I read or review a paper, I write on literally on PDF, sending that this is not a proposed work. By tum jo kar rahe ho, that is proposed. Okay, don't get your ideas and their ideas as confused between both as being proposed. Many of you may have received, or you have seen at least, people get a review that ideas look confusing. Why? Because in the literature you have written every other person is proposing something and उसमें तुमने अपना एक salt वगैरह डाल दिया, हो गया. That's not how it should be. They are reporting, they are investigating, they have investigated. Okay, and now you are proposing something else. That's one thing. Second, if their method is already there online, it is being done. Still the method is being used. So when you say that so-and-so has investigated this, and when you try to explain, that has to be in present tense. Because that is still usable. Okay, paper abhi bhi available hai, it is still usable. It is not done. The idea is not closed. Field is not yet closed. So please understand the tenses also. Okay, it becomes very annoying for some of the reviewers, and I'm very sure most of us okay, receive a comment, check grammar. And we ignore. So grammar to check kiya hai na, Grammarly mein to dala tha maine. Sab to correct hai. We don't understand these things. Okay, even I didn't understand for a few years. Okay, when my supervisor started telling me, okay, is this method done? Is this author died? This is how he explained me. No, he is not died. He's sitting in next lab. Then how can you write has been done, had been done? Okay. Still the method is being used. It can be used. You are still comparing the method. That means the method is still working. It has to be in present tense. Of course, his research, yes, it has been published. So he has investigated. He has reported. But after that, it has to be present. Is that okay? Now, next is, okay, writing tips. Okay, so if you have seen this, okay, I've changed the sequence deliberately. Okay, what we are supposed to write is introduction, okay, methods on all those sections. Title and the abstract is something that I will write the last. Okay, most of the time introduction is ready with us, then you have the entire method ready with us, and then you write the results. Okay, if you like, I mean, if you are not the seasoned writer or a seasoned researcher, you would write method first. If you are a seasoned researcher, you already know what the introduction is, what the literature is, and I would first start putting the thoughts. Okay, and then I will refine based on my methods and all. Okay, now once you do this, okay, introduction mein what is included? First, you are supposed to introduce the problem, first para, okay, give out where it's been used. You have seen that IEEE transaction, they say, okay, this is a problem, they are using it for this kind of applications and so on and so forth. You may not be using it for that application, but this is where it is applicable. This puts the right mind for the reviewer, okay, ये research कहीं पे तो use हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं कि इसने कुछ कर दिया तो ये publish कर रहा है. That's not how it is. Okay. Then you go for a proper literature, you put a classification, groupism, and do all these things. You must not, okay, I'm telling you very clearly, you must not say that this research, okay, is not useful. Okay. Never. Okay. This research is outdated. Never. Somebody has done research, give the credit. Okay. He has done a research. You may say towards the end, write a para, it's a good idea, okay, that write a para stating these are problems. That's what we generally call as research gaps. Okay, you do it, but don't ever try to put limitations on each research. Okay, एक research लिख दिया, उसका 90% आया, उसका limitation लिख दिया, दूसरा उसका limit. Reviewer, as a reader, I am confused whether I should read it. If you already know this has a problem, why should I even read it? That's the problem. So write everything, groupism, everything you do it. Towards the end, it also helps you. There I will explain why groupism helps. Okay. You can write one single statement, this group falls because of this problem. This group fails because of this problem. You don't have to actually go and find out all the papers in these researches, why are they failing. If they have a common trait, they have a common problem. Okay. This is how an literature or a motivation or a contribution will come out. Next is contribution. Okay. Whether you write contribution as points, whether you write as a paragraph, it's up to you, as choice of a journal and choice of a particular writing author. But what you must do and must not do. Never write an objective which you are not fulfilling. Okay. Early Alzheimer's detection, okay, done. Have you even done the early? No. Because as a reviewer, I will read, okay, ये सब मुझे देखना है paper में. ये reviewer है, मैं देख रहा हूँ ये 3 objective है. First thing I will search is mark early Alzheimer. किधर है, किधर है, किधर है. End तक मिल ही नहीं रहा है. End में मिलेगा, this could be used for early detection. हो गया ना भाई, तुम्हारा paper इधर ही reject. Nobody is reading your second or third objective. Okay, understand these problems. Lastly, when we write objective, we write the objective. We do not prioritize them. Okay. If I am developing a system, what is the first objective I will do? Okay, I am developing a system for this, done. Then I will do, I have developed this new algorithm. Then I will compare these results. First, comparing result is not an objective. वो तुमको करना है कि तुमको paper डालना है. Okay, it is not the objective. You may have received many comments. I have received. When I was doing it, I have received the comments stating that how comparison is an objective. True. Now I realize it is true. Comparison is not an objective. It is an essential criteria for you to put your research. Okay. But जब कुछ बचता नहीं है, journal में डालना है, 3 objective चाहिए. What do we do? Can't do anything. Okay. Sometimes you can't help it. Okay. I'm even stating right here at this stage also, some of my papers have it, comparison. Okay, can't help it. Okay, now, okay, prioritizing. First thing, must be the key idea of your paper. Okay, let's say I'm developing a new meta-heuristic algorithm or a new CNN or something like that. First objective has to be, what is your research about? Then second objective, I am using this CNN for this purpose. Third objective is, I am using this for this comparison. That's how it should be. First objective should be, I would say, same as your title. Okay, don't paraphrase it, okay, of course, but you always should have it aligned with the title of your paper, because that's where, when you write title, you have limited words, you put only key ideas. Those key ideas must come here. Not every key idea will come, of course. Only the key ideas which you think are important. Let's say I was doing a CNN for faster inference time or lighter weights and so many other things. I will not say that I am doing a novel CNN for Alzheimer detection. And in the next line, if I say that, okay, my CNN is for this many weights and all those things, nobody is interested. Bhai. Tumhare first isme mujhe samajh gaya. First thing you should say is, I am doing a CNN with least number of weights, faster inference time and so many other things. I am using this CNN, or a proposed CNN is used for Alzheimer's detection. Done. Your research is done. Okay. Now, okay. So common pitfalls. Okay. Lighting long and healthy, lengthy lines. Okay. So just because I am not able to split this into lines, I will just go on writing it. Sometimes you can't help it, like you are giving a list. Okay. Do it. Okay, but I will say that when you think there is a break in the idea, use semicolon. Okay, it helps. Okay, just break the idea, and once or twice you read the same line again, you will find that semicolon gets converted to full stop. Okay, I've done this number of times. Okay, any line which goes more than 3 or 4 pages, a normal reader does not have the context of the first word. Okay, do you want that for your research? Not really. Okay, next. Insufficient background. This happens if you don't give the entire motivation or literature or where you are doing what you are doing. Okay, or basically the objectives are not wrong. Okay, improper citation. Okay, generally we do not have it, but sometimes we just end up saying something. This generally happens with people who do write many papers. Okay, some idea is very peculiarly known to me, but may not be known to somebody else. Okay, like for example, if I just say pitch recognition has this problem. How do I know somebody who's reading my paper is from the same field? Don't know. Always cite the paper again. Okay? Don't oversight it. Every time I say pitch problem, I don't have to cite the paper again. That's oversighting. Okay? At least once you do it in the entire paper or after the periodic gaps. Okay? Then next is ignoring the negative results. Okay? It's a common problem as I explained. Okay? 87, 97, thoda aage piche. Okay? People do it. Okay? Should not do it. Go ahead, explain why the results are negative, and you'll be done. Okay. Formatting errors, okay, generally these are not the issues. Okay. If you have done, not done, okay, generally a common reply from any editor, any respectable editor, okay, follow the journal format. Okay. I would say you more or less safely should ignore this. Okay. It's a common typo. वो copy paste करके डालते हैं editors. Okay. Because most of the time journal formatting themselves is confusing. Okay. So there are few journals which do not require you to do formatting. They are the better journals. Okay, just send the manuscript as they are. Okay, double line width and all those things, and they will do the formatting. Once they are done, they will send you for proofreading. 90% of Springer and elsewhere do this. Okay, and remaining who do not do this are Wiley, Taylor Francis, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when you're doing this, it's not a problem of journal. I'm not saying those journals are not good. Some of them are extremely good, WHS and all those things. But there's a problem of formatting. It's an addition load to an author to do the formatting, okay, where that is not my area. Okay, so for this you should use LaTeX. Okay, LaTeX is going to be very useful, okay, for these kind of things. I have a paper for journal 1, journal 2 में convert करना है, template ले लो, copy paste करो, done. Word में you have to literally do copy, paste, style, transfer, and everything. Okay, so that's where LaTeX will come to help. Okay, and last, okay, use of AI in writing. I don't have to tell you about all these things, right? Okay, idea है, chat GPT में डालो, paragraph निकालो, डालो. That's what we do. Okay, can't help it. Okay, Quillbot, humanize. These are the things which my students have told me. How do they do it? I have asked very curiously. How do you reduce the plagiarism? First, chat GPT को बोलो, reduce plag, avoid plag. Quillbot, humanize. Okay, and There are many like SQO something, and then quick write, quick text, many of them are there. Okay? You can just put the text. Okay? Don't take the tips from these apps. Okay? I'm just giving you names which you are not supposed to use. Okay? If you're writing these, do not write these apps. Okay? So get these apps, okay, and they do this. It's not how it's supposed to be. Write on your own words. You will not get it first 2 papers, but third, fourth paper you will get the idea how to write it. Okay. Now some of the tools which I generally follow. Okay. Grammarly. Okay. For checking the grammar. I will suggest if you have an institutional version or something, that's better. Free version does not give all those things. Okay. Many who are using it, they would have found out that free version is up to a level, but not to the fullest. Okay. Then Turnitin for plagiarism, Authenticate is converted now to Turnitin. Okay, there are many others, but I generally follow Turnitin because that's the account many users and IITs also have it. Okay. Then Mendeley for references, those who are doing in Word. Those who are using LaTeX, उनको तो ये problem है ही नहीं कभी. Okay. Overleaf and LaTeX for writing. Okay. Getting anything that you have, write in Overleaf, the formatting can be changed at any point of time. And since it is a PDF based, there is no like, if I change one figure, इधर से इधर लाया, पूरा text इधर उधर हो गया. That's the problem with Word, okay? Not the problem with Overleaf. Then publishing process, choose a journal wisely, as I've already told, okay? Then follow submission formats if given, otherwise you can literally ignore this. Peer review, okay? Always be responsive when somebody sends a review comment, okay? Respond to the comment, not tie a goat to the tree and explain the goat, okay? You are asked for the tree, explain the tree, okay? I've seen, okay? When I see people who send review comments, and funny thing is, they will color so many things in the text, highlight karke, this is what is changed. I don't know where to keep a track. Okay, so many journals these days you may have realized that they are asking for this comment where it is changed or where it is revised in the original paper. Page number likho, section likho. Why do they do it? Because many reviewers are complaining. When I send an what you call as secret message to an editor, I send these things. Okay. I do not understand why the entire paper, 70% paper is rewritten. When I am asking only 2 comments. Okay, मैंने results में कुछ पूछा था, ये बंदा जाके literature में भी change कर रहा है. क्यों? I didn't even ask, because that time he finds out many other things. Okay, so don't do all these things. Okay, just write or highlight only what is important. Don't do changes. I have seen that around 30 to 40% change after review is acceptable. Okay. Sometimes you feel that based on a particular review comment that this has to be changed. I would say, okay, don't change. It's not asked, don't change unless it is ethically wrong or technically wrong. Okay, because that could be a new idea, dwell over it, think over it, and it could be a new idea for research. Okay. Then promote post-publication, that's up to you. I mean, you put on LinkedIn, this, that, ResearchGate, okay, and do all. Okay. Authorship contribution. I was talking to Gaikwad sir about this while coming here. Okay, I am going to raise this point. He said not to raise, but still I am going to raise this. Okay, gift authorship. Okay, तू मेरा भाई है, मैं तेरा भाई है. Okay, ये तेरा भी नाम पेपर में डाल रहा हूँ मैं. Has it even worked? No. When that person goes to a particular interview and he is asked, in this paper what you have done? What has happened? Your research has gone to drains. Somebody thinks this is not a good paper because nobody is able to explain this. Okay. Sometimes because of funding, sometimes because somebody thinks he is my supervisor, he is my head of the department, he is my principal, this, that. People do. Okay. I'm being very blunt on these things. I have been, what do you call, told things in my institute, not to say things about this, but this is fact. Okay. Generally, we have reduced in our institute for over a long time now. Okay. But IIT does not have it, frankly. Okay, IIT does not have this. Okay, only those who contribute, they are the reviewers. Okay, only they are the authors, basically. Okay, so do not gift authorship to anybody. Okay, just because of publication, just because of funding. Okay, if you want to include somebody and not from your field, fine. At least ask the person to read the paper, give you the comments, get him interested, ask him to read it only once. That's even fine. Okay, and then put his name. Okay, where to put, that's up to you. Okay, as I said, author or sequence does not really matter. Okay, then some of the citation and references. Okay, common ones are APA, MLA, IEEE. All this you can get from Google Scholar. Okay, so go to scholar.google, type the paper title and go to site and you will get it. Okay. Common pitfall, people copy and paste and use it. Not really. Okay. Every journal along with the APA has something called as shorthand. Okay. Those who have read the research and references section, you would have seen IEEE trans dot. Okay. International J dot for journal. That's shorthand. They do come from a reference type called as IEEE reference book, or if it is a different journal like elsewhere and all those, they have a journal shorthands. Okay. And you're supposed to use from that. Okay. For example, IEEE may find, I'm just giving example, IEEE may say journal is basically J dot. Some references, even if it is very commonly known, they may not think of it. So do not use it. Okay. So you always check the table of content from that journal, if it is a common shorthand from that journal, and then use it. Google will not give you the shorthand basically. So don't copy paste it and then just think why they are saying references are not in a proper format. मैंने italic तो किया, मैंने quotes तो डाला, मैंने सब कुछ तो किया. Okay. Because shorthand was not there. Okay. And okay, I forgot one thing, DOIs. Okay. DOIs may or may not be required. Okay. It completely depends on the journal, and my suggestion, be consistent. Okay. If you have put the DOI for one paper, take effort, go and find out DOI for everybody. If not, don't do for anybody. Simple. Second thing, conferences. Journal, conference or journal, there is a huge difference. Journal mein which journal, volume, everything is important. Conference, year, conference name and the place. Okay. Without the place, conference has no meaning. Okay. Lot of times people do not take efforts. Google pe search kiya, nahi mila. Take effort, find out, find the conference place. It is must. You should not cite any paper without a conference place. Okay. And that's the conclusion. Okay. So 3 short conclusions. Okay. So you can take all these 3, okay, and use a better research. Okay. Thank you. If you have any questions, go ahead.
So my question was, now the UGC list of journals, which was like Scopus Index Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, has been stopped since last 2024, September. So now they're no more releasing any list. And the guidelines that they have given is just see if the journals is following the proper guidelines or not. So how do we understand whether it is really Scopus indexed, or how do we find an authenticate journal?
Okay. If you know that you want to publish in a particular journal, get the title of a journal, go to scopus.org, okay, URIs, search for the title, not just there. You will get the journal. Now, every journal must submit a document to the Scopus, so that document link is given at the bottom. Click on the document and see if it is going to the same journal. What predatory journals do is, they have 1 or 2 letters which may not even realize to us, or some of them have exactly same names. And now, they do not have the proper documentation. So you may think, or the journal may say that Scopus index is there and all those things, so that is there. Secondly, it's a very common strategy, I don't blame anybody, but if my journal has a Scopus index Q1, okay, and it gets to Q2, I will update after 6 months. Okay. And if my journal is Q2 and it goes to Q1, I will update in 10 days. Can't help it. Always go to scopus.org, URI section and search and check the document. If it is Web of Science, that means SCI journal you are searching for, open and free account hai. Okay, Web of Science mein jao, free account open karo. Okay, Web of Science ranking mein jao, free account open karo. Done. You get the entire information. High intensity.
In the paper,
yeah,
where we quote the references, when you write down the research paper, many times I find everywhere in the reference introduction and then resultant discussion. So, which is the better way? And where do you put this one?
It's like where my intellectual goes. Okay. If my intellectual is more around writing a new method, I shouldn't have any references. Okay. But sometimes the method is improved version, and now for setting some parameters, I need somebody's help. So result section and discussion sections, okay, while comparing to somebody or while setting a particular parameter, I may have a reference. But 90% of your references must go to only introduction or a literature section. Okay, you should avoid having any review or any kind of reference in your proposed method. That literally shows that you already have taken idea from somebody.
And how many times the reference can be repeated? Many times one to say one something back reference is given in thesis particularly. This problem.
It's like if you want to say the same idea again, it's fine if the idea is new. Okay, like for example, if it's a CNN, everybody knows CNN. Okay, I don't need to code the CNN again. Okay, but if it is like a new network, like some combination of CNN with somebody else, and that's what I want to code, I should code it again. Because people think, when it is a short form particularly, that it may be used by the same researcher earlier. Okay, that's a problem with the short form, particularly in case of thesis. Okay, what happens is I start with something, I start developing my method, I start developing my own shorthands. Okay, that's why they have this shorthand list at the start. So easy reference. And most of us, we put everything, every shorthand that I have in my thesis, I put in that list. Now, as a reviewer, it becomes very difficult. अरे इतने में से कहाँ पे ढूंढूं? जो important है उतना ही रखो. A CNN है, everybody knows CNN. Why to put the CNN as a shorthand in that list? Same thing goes as if there is something new method. Like for example, if my method is let's say ABCD, I would write ABCD, define it. After few paragraphs or maybe a section or two, I would rewrite the full name and ABCD again. No reviewer will take an objection. Okay, reviewers take objection when it happens again and again, and I'll tell you when it happens again and again when you use ChatGPT.